Hey and welcome to the final map of Lunar Apocalypse. As you can see there, when you look back you can actually see back into the previous level where we ended up, so that's a nice little touch there. This is Overlord, and as we make our way around this area here, you can see there's a bunch of enemies waiting to take us down. Now, it's important that we don't get overwhelmed here because this is quite a busy level. There's quite a variety of enemies on this one, so just got to make sure we don't, lose too much health early on here. So there's a little switch puzzle here, but as long as you hit those 3 switches, the middle part here drops down and we can grab the freeze ray. But the big weapon we want is actually the RPG here. That'll be very useful as we make our way through the level here. So we can go under the water here, grab the shotgun, and we can take out these octo brains. 3 for the price of 1 there. Not bad, not bad. So as we head down here, you can see there's a force field stopping us. We'll be coming back from the other way there in a bit. But you can see this area is bathed in red light. It's very atmospheric. If you have a jetpack, you can go straight to the boss fight by going through that air duct there. You can also, if you're really skilled, make the jump. Now, as I said there, you have to be really skilled, and unfortunately I do not have the skills to pay the bills. So there's a door there that we can't get into right now, but we will be able to soon. We hit the switch here to get through here, and we'll grab the shotgun shells from here. As you can see, there's a battle lord around there. There is an explosive canister right next to him there, but unfortunately I'm not able to hit him. I should have probably gone with the RPG straight away there. Wow, that didn't take much at all. So if you blow that canister up, it actually puts a big hole in the wall, and you can grab yourself a med pack from inside, which is really useful. Nice to see outside, and look at the earth. We'll be back on there very soon. So this room is interesting. It's multi-leveled. There's quite a lot of enemies in here, and you'll want to be careful because there's a few enemies that can actually drop on you and cause quite a bit of damage if you're not careful. First thing we're going to do here though is get rid of these octo brains, and as we make our way down here you'll recognise that this is the very same force field we saw earlier on, and yes, that means we can now make our way through to this area, no problem at all. Take down these guys here. Just got to be careful because, as I said, there's quite a few enemies in this area who can get the jump on you if you're not careful. A whole bunch of alien pods there, which we don't want to let, explode on us, because they're kind of annoying, let's be honest. Killing that babe there brings up that octo brain. I love the green light there. It's actually, it adds a lot of atmosphere to this little area here. It's actually quite nice to see how it affects the sprites, although you can blow it up using the RPG. Speaking of blowing things up, you can also make your way into the secrets here. There are some pipe bombs inside, so it is actually worth making this trip. You can see a whole bunch of pods there have already opened, so we may as well just do the decent thing and clean up. There's a lot of there's a lot of aliens down there, so let's just use the pipe bombs there to get rid of them. You can see that little air duct on the left hand side there. We'll hit a switch in a second that allows us to actually go in there and make proper use of that. So I want you to take note of the women hanging there. They're all still intact. They're all still kind of looking somewhat healthy. I mean, they're obviously not doing too well because they're hanging upside down in an alien spacecraft. Just keep in mind those women sprites there, because when we get to the N64 version, it's gonna surprise you. Let's just say that. But anyway, as we continue on here, let's jump into the air ducts. So if you drop straight down here, you head straight for the boss. But obviously we don't want to do that while we can still grab some other stuff here. There's an atomic elf in the middle. This way takes you back to the room that we started in, as you can see. I was hoping that Octobrain was going to follow us through, but alas, no. There's a secret here with a bunch of atomic health and some armor. Will be very useful because we're going to be facing the boss in the not too distant future. Want to make sure there's no enemies we've left behind. I do try to kill as many enemies in these runs as I can. I don't intentionally go for 100% kills, but ow. But sometimes, like if on levels like this, I will do my best to clear the level. Whole bunch of enemies there. Oh god. Thought they were going to rush me there. I was a bit concerned. Whole bunch of enemies in that room there.
Holy shit.
So if you look on the screen at the bottom there, you can actually see nuclear power plants. So it looks like they're planning their attack. I really like that kind of little detail there. And we can also see that we've come out into this room here. So that was behind the locked door that we couldn't access earlier. You know what, I'm just going to run around like this. If you get a jetpack, it's a lot easier to traverse this level, but doesn't really matter. When you drop down, we come into this room of, well, explosions and eggs.
Come get some.
I love the lighting in this room. I just love how the light sort of spins around and sort of creates a lot of shadows. It really kind of makes the room look like very intimidating. I was going to use the Devastator here, but then I realised I'll probably want that for the boss fight in a second. So, very atmospheric room, this one. And once you head down to the bottom of the room here, you see, there he is. This is the big boss of this episode. So he's got rockets on top of his head there, which he'll be launching at us in a second. There you go. When you make your way into that room, this room at the back opens up here. It's worth coming in here because there's a few bits of ammo in here that we can make use of. But this boss isn't that difficult, provided you strafe accordingly and you keep your distance. He isn't that difficult to handle because his rockets struggle to keep up with us, and as you can see, he's defeated, and Duke Nukem is going to keep his promise by ripping off his head and shitting down his neck. I mean, you have to say Duke Nukem is a man of his word because he's literally delivering on that promise. But yeah, this is the close to Lunar Apocalypse, and yeah, look, Duke Nukem is Duke Nukem, and he's going to do Duke Nukem things. And then to kind of wrap things up, we get this little story screenshot here that sets up the start of episode 3 and the boss that we'll eventually see in that episode. I think Overlord wraps up Lunar Apocalypse pretty nicely. It doesn't outstay its welcome, it's not overly long, and it's not as good as the boss level from the first episode that we played through, but in my opinion it's definitely a strong level all the same, and I think that playing through it, it doesn't wear out its welcome. There's a lot of fun little battles, and there's some nice little secrets that, if you know where to go, can make the level a lot easier, and ultimately it's just really fun and a nice way to cap out Lunar Apocalypse overall. I feel a solid end, let's say that. But yeah, let's dive into the N64 version of this level. As you can see, the opening again lets you look back on the previous level. We lose the red lighting in this area, which is a bit of a shame, but it's still up here, which is nice. We're heading around here and killing all these enemies. I think the thing I like about this level is that there's just enough level before the boss fight to feel interesting without there being too much. I think one of my problems with Stadium, which we'll talk about when we get to that level, is that there's no level. It's kind of like Dis in that once you enter the boss arena, you end up just kind of facing off against the boss, and it's like I kind of like boss levels where there's a build up to the boss fights. Makes it feel that much more intense. I'm going to take care of all these octobrains here. It's cool how they've managed to kind of keep this level mostly intact, and they've managed to sort of keep the same style and feel that the PC version has going for it. Didn't spot that in the PC version though, so I'm going to guess it's there in the PC version. It's just a lot darker underwater because of the red light, so it's probably a lot harder for me to spot. That's probably why I missed it. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the textures here because you can kind of see they're a bit more low res in this version, but that's obvious. So hold up a minute, does that middle bit actually hurt us now? It didn't do that in the PC version. Interesting. So we've got some explosive shotgun rounds here. I did not know that these were in this game, so I'm using them here for the first time. And yeah, I did not know that was a thing. Now this weapon makes absolute mincemeat of this enemy here. Like he didn't exist. And we'll grab the portable medkit there. I would say let's look outside, but let's be honest, it's kind of sad looking outside in this episode on the N64. It's nice that they've been able to keep rooms like this as well. This is quite a big room with a lot of stuff going on in it, but it is kind of important for the level because you do end up kind of having to work your way up to the top, and it's nice that the challenge of this level hasn't been diminished. Although I will say, like, playing on an N64 controller will probably be a challenge all to itself. Blown open this secret here, which is nice. Pipe bombs are always appreciated. So I was actually trying to kill those green gummy things, but there's actually some enemies down here. Oh god, yes, there are enemies down there. So
Rip 'em a new one.
it is cool to see those enemies being used in the earlier episodes. So as we head up to the top here, oh nice, the green light's still here. It's a bit more prominent, the green light as well in this one. It's a bit more saturated, which is interesting.
I'm good. Hail to the king, baby.
So we're coming up on the women at the top here. Now I have to admit that when I saw these for the first time, I was actually kind of shocked, and when we were doing the PC level playthrough just now, I kind of drew attention to the women up top here because I kind of think it's important that we draw attention to the fact that the N64 version of Duke Nukem 3D has kind of downplayed the sort of women being trapped in those pods, but when we get up here, you see that they actually completely upplay it here. So yes, those women have been torn apart. And that is quite grotesque, I have to say. Considering that this is the N64 version and that they've kind of gone out of the way to not be like that graphic, that is pretty horrifying, to say the least. That's actually more horrifying than the PC version. So, +1 point for this version, I guess. But yeah, as we move on here, we enter this party again. And make use of these explosive shells. Take out that octobrain there. See if this room is still here. Let's get rid of these guys. You can see that it's not quite as dark in this version. I'm guessing that they just decided to brighten things up a bit to make it a bit easier on N64 gamers.
Go ahead, make my day.
So I guess we're all done here. I don't think there's much else for us to actually do in this level other than head for the exit. Yes. So this follows in the same vein as the boss level in the first episode, in that instead of having like a boss battle at the end of this level, you actually just, as we drop down here, get a level split. So that's interesting. So that was called Dreadnought. And now we head into Overlord itself, which is actually the boss battle. Now, what's also interesting here is they've actually gotten rid of the explosions that you can normally trigger, so you kind of lose a bit of the spectacle and also get a bit more difficulty because you actually kind of have to go around and kill all these things yourself. Otherwise they'll probably very irritatingly attack us when we're trying to kill the boss in a second. But they've managed to keep that funky lighting from the PC version, which I'm digging. But you can also see there's no exit for us to go and get what would have been the Devastator. So we're pretty much trapped in this chamber here with the boss. I think we can now kill this boss. So we don't have the missile launcher, which would be really useful here, I'm not going to lie. But for all intents and purposes, this boss battle is exactly the same, bar the fact that it's its own little level here. And again, it's not that difficult to beat this boss. Because he doesn't fire that fast, you're able to kind of outmaneuver him with some strafing. Him going against the wall like that though is kind of annoying. You can also see if you look up at the roof there, it's actually blocked off completely, so they don't even try to hide the fact that like it's you're not really supposed to ever be able to get back up there. I assume they've done that because if you bring a jetpack in here, like it might cause problems, because I guess there's nothing up there. So they obviously thought about that. So this boss can't have much left, I reckon. Oh, look, the expander actually killed it. That's pretty fun. So instead of getting to watch Duke pull down his pants and crap on the boss, you actually get to see this cutscene, which obviously is a bit more PG, but kind of delivers the same lore dump, which is pretty nice. But yeah, honestly, I don't mind the fact that they split the levels. I think it makes the boss battle a bit more difficult because you can't just jump out into that water section and sort of hide in there if things get a bit too tough. You're kind of forced to face the boss head on. I really like the final level. In fact, I kind of like a lot of Lunar Apocalypse. There's a lot of positives in this episode. I don't think it quite matches the feel and the intensity that you get from, you know, the first episode and what we're about to obviously go into in Shrapnel City. But I really enjoyed this playthrough of Lunar Apocalypse, and I hope you guys did too. What was your favourite level of this episode? And thank you very much for watching.